Hi everyone, it's Miss Hakvari in the library. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the book Indian No More, and by the author Charlene Willing McManus. This book is in our historical fiction section. It's set in the year 1957, and an interesting thing about this book is it is very much written about events that happened in the author's life. So very similar things that happened in the book happened to our author. In the book, the main character's name is Regina. She is part of the Umpqua Nation, and they are living in Oregon. They are on a Native American reservation. And what happens to Regina's family is they are sort of forced to relocate after the federal government declares the Umpqua tribe like no longer a tribe. So they're no longer recognized by the United States, and that causes a lot of problems. The support system, the land they're living on, different things like that, the community is kind of forced to move and sort of disperse. And so what happens to Regina's family is they move from Oregon to Los Angeles. Regina ends up in a different school. She's in a completely different environment, a very urban environment now compared to what she was living in before. And this is sort of the first time that Regina has interacted with any kids that aren't of Native American descent. So that's a big surprise for her. The other thing that starts to happen when Regina realizes that not only is she Native American, but many of her new classmates and friends are of maybe African American heritage or Mexican American heritage. She and her friends start to run into discrimination and racism, which is something she, again, didn't have to think of before when she lived in her Native American community. So it's a really interesting story. It gets to a lot of issues that have come up in the Native American community for a long time, in that the federal government can kind of make decisions that impact people's lives in a very strong way, and in sometimes a negative way. And like I said at the beginning, the author, Cynthia Willing McManus, this book kind of talks about a lot of her life experiences. She was also of Umpqua descent, and she grew up in a similar situation as her character, Regina. So if you have questions about what that life would have been like, if you've ever had to relocate with your family and find yourself in a completely different culture and environment, or if you're curious about what that would be like, I would highly recommend that you read the book Indian No More.